to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. Today I got a different type of video. Today I'm going to show you how I make my clocks using vinyl records. I'll explain it as I go along, but I'll give you a quick brief synopsis. What I do is I just go to my local thrift store and I buy albums and I glue 2 of them together so it's got some sturdiness to it. Then I do a bloom on them and then I add the clock mechanisms to it. And it's set to go. I also, but before putting the clock mechanisms on it, I do resin them. Then I put the clock mechanisms on them and then I send them off and I put them over in my Christmas shop. That's been going since November 2nd, doing some great sales. I'm very happy about that. So, but I'll show you how I make these. If you're interested, all you gotta do is send me a message and I will get them out to you. All right, thanks everyone. Let's get down onto the record to get started. I'll be right back. So when you're doing a record for a clock, it's really important you don't flood it with too much of your pillow paint. So this is the PPG paint right out of the can. You only want to put about enough paint here in the center of your record, because once you put the other paints onto it and blow it out, that's going to be enough paint to move it around. That way you don't get any cracking in your record. So let's put some pillow paint down. Again, I just use the straight out of the can. I just slowly put paint on here to fill up the center, and that's it. That's all you need. And then what I do is I take it and spin it just a little bit, and that fans it out. I'm gonna start off with Phthalo blue, and I'm probably going to come in with the colors twice. Precious gold, pearl yellow, phthalo green. Now I'm just going to put a little dab of black cell activator here in the center. I'm going to blow it with my mouth and then I'm going to blow it with the dryer. High fan and cool. Nice colors on the blowout. All right, I'm gonna let this collect. I'll speed you guys up for this and then I'll come back. Okay, so now we're just gonna spin this out. Nice and easy. Ooh, beautiful lines in this, wow. Go back the other way. I want to give it one more spin. Fantastic. Just gonna pick this up off the spinner here. Look at that. And then you just you go and look at the edges and make sure everything has got paint on it. Just touch your finger here on the sides. Okay, I'm back. So today is number time and resin time. What I do is I have a little diagram here of a little clock, and here's my center, and there's the center of the diagram. So I just lay that right there. So first I figure out where I want to lay my numbers. So I usually kind of turn it one way or another so that the numbers will actually get seen and still be able to see a wonderful part of the design. So here I just take these numbers I got from Amazon. They're self-sticky on the back. So I just lay them out according to the time. 12, 3, 6, and 9. Like so. And then I kind of just look directly over top of it and ensure that my numbers are coming straight out and even. And once I get them in line with place I want them to stick, then I could just peel them and stick them. So I'm going to start with my 6 first. I just peel off the back, and I'm not going to press these super hard because if I do need to lift them up and rotate them or shift them a little bit, I can. So I just kind of lay them on the number in the spot where I want to be. And I can tell that that's in line. And then I'm going to do the same thing with my 12. I just slightly touch them. And then what I do is I take it and I pick up my clock face and I hold the clock up in front of my face, which you guys will not be able to see. And I'm going to verify that that is even. Once I've verified that everything is even, and I don't need to shift anything, then I just press real hard on my numbers, and that sets them in place. Time for resin. Because these clocks obviously are just clocks, they don't need heat resistant resin, so I'm going to be using my art resin. We mix art resin up 1:1. For a clock you only need about 2.5 ounces of resin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix up about 3 ounces of resin, and that should take care of the clock. I make sure everything's clean just by wiping it off. All right, so I've mixed up my resin. Like I said, it's a 1:1 mixture. So I mixed it up and I let it sit for about 4 minutes or so. It's got air bubbles in it, but that's okay. It's always going to pop the air bubbles when you're done with the resin with your heat gun. So what I do is I take a little bit of resin and I put it right on my numbers directly. Right on the top and on the center of them. Just like that. I'll do the same thing over here with the 3. Get that edge of the record too, right there where the number meets. Because I've done a few of these where I ended up missing just a little bit of that, ended up with a hole, and I've had to recoat with a second coat. All right. Then what I do is I pour the rest onto the record. I always kind of leave a little extra just in case I need it. And the extra comes from inside the cup. just scraping the inside. So then what I do is I take my gloved hand, holding onto the record for support, and I just bring the resin all around the record, pushing it out, getting the center coated. I coat the middle of the record where the hole is last. I want to make sure everything's coated on the outside first. Try to avoid that hole in the center because all your resin from the center is going to be pushed through the hole. Now there's a lot of resin that's built up over the numbers, so I kind of go over those with my finger. Sure, even distribution of the resin. Then I take my finger and push it along the edge to verify all of the record, all of the clock. I keep calling it record because it is record. Everything is coated around the edge because that's also going to ensure that the two records are sealed together. Even though they're glued together, get that sealed. Then I take the center. Now I start to cover the hole. It doesn't have to be, I mean, it needs to be covered, but it doesn't need to be like super covered because I'm going to end up ensuring that there's no resin filling in the hole because I got to be able to put the clock mechanism in there. And then I pick up my heat gun and I just give it a good torch. What I will do is I take an empty ballpoint pen and I kind of just put it right down in the center of the hole. And then I take it out. And I'll come back in about 30 minutes and do the same thing. It just kind of helps free up that hole of any resin that's dripping down from the record into the hole. But it even doesn't matter. Once it's cured, I'll take that same drill and I'll have to drill that again because that hole does close up just a little bit. All right, guys, so we are now resined. Just beautiful. Everything dried well. The colors, there's no holes around the colors. Just fantastic. So the next thing I'm going to do is it's time to take off the tape. So I've got a piece of just brown construction paper here that nothing's on it. That way I don't have to worry about getting anything on the resin. I will warn you, don't get alarmed, but when you heat up these records, they do tend to warp a little bit, but then they just go right back to their normal shape. But I'm also not going to heat it up for a super long time to make it warp bad. I'm just doing the edges to get the tape and the resin off. So I'm going to turn it on. Before I start to do this, what I need to do is I need to ensure that my hole is still big enough to fit my clock piece. And I can see from here that it is not. It will not go in the bottom. That means I need to re-drill because what's happened is the resin has filled in the hole. So I just put my drill right in the center, being very careful. And I slowly open that up. Just like that. So next it's time to assemble the clock. So I get these clock mechanisms from Amazon. And what I do is I immediately put the battery in. Next, we're going to put this through the hole in the back. It's now time to put on the pieces. So next there is a washer. And then after that, you have a little nut that goes down right on top of there. I have big fingers, so it's hard for me to do this. You just tighten this down. So now I'm going to use my fingers to just tighten this up. Just hand tight with fingers. Because then, and I use my pliers here, and then I just tighten up that bolt to get it super tight. The reason why you tighten this up so this thing doesn't move around. Next, we put on the hands. And these hands are really, really flimsy, so you want to be careful with them. So the first hand we're going to put on is our hand. So we just push that down onto the mechanism. You have to push kind of hard. And you will end up bending some of the hands. So you will, once you get everything loaded onto the clock well enough, then things will start to move and take shape. All right, next one. Push that down, kind of make it even so it's got the right time. And then we put the minute hand on. Just goes here right in the center. Gotta push that down nice and hard. Now, my friends, we now have a working clock. It's been resined. The sides look nice and coated. There's no gaps. Everything looks great. So I do sell these clocks for $40. I've got all kinds of colors made. I'll show you guys at the end of this video all the clocks that I've made so far. If you're interested in a clock, let me know. You can direct message me on my Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or you can email me. Everything's at studio15acrylics@gmail.com. That's the email, and then all my other social media, you can just send me a message directly to them. So, all right, everyone, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Have a great one.